Hi, ladies. Let me see. Hi, if you can hear me. Oh, the person's online. Can you let me know if you can hear me or see me? I'm trying a different thing this time again around. This time around, I'm trying something new yet again. Hi, everyone. Okay, thanks, Dawn, for confirming that you can hear me. Hi Denise. Hi Alrika. Hi Marsha. I can't see you guys on one screen, so if you see me looking sideways, because I'm using double screens today. I'm trying a new thing. But apparently I'm not very techy, as you all know. So apparently I'm having to use two screens to be able to see what's happening. But anyway, I'm glad you can hear me. So, welcome to another Sunday afternoon. I am happy that you could join me today. And as you know, today's topic is fitness and nutrition, which is very necessary because we need to be able to see and know what is happening with our bodies, especially during this transition period. And today I have a very special guest with me who will be hopping on in another 5 minutes. She's actually wrapping up her session so that she can. One second. Why am I hearing a feedback in this thing? Okay. Technology. All right. So our special guest today is going to be Sharon Feanny. She will be hopping on in a few minutes. She will be hopping on in a few minutes. She's not online as yet. She'll be hopping on in a few minutes. She's just wrapping up she had a retreat this weekend from Friday to today, and she's wrapping up her session now. Her session was actually supposed to go to 7 o'clock, but she switched her time so she could hop onto our live to be able to impart some very wonderful knowledge to us and to help us through this phase as well. Thanks for that message, Marsha. If you see, I have another supporting person online with me today. My friend Dawn is online with me. You won't see her picture because Dawn refuses to put up her picture, but she's helping me in the background because, as I said, I am doing something different today. because I had some technical difficulties with what I was supposed to be using this evening. And so I had to switch gears. So because of that, I need some assistance to know exactly what you're saying in the chat, because I won't be able to see it for the most part. So Dawn is helping me with that. Thanks, Dawn. I hope I didn't take you away from your cooking time, Dawn, but thank you. So let me get into it while we wait on Sharon to hop in. So as we go through this phase, we recognize, for those of us who are going through it, or if you're not going through it as yet, all the better. You will get some information to armor yourself with. Hopefully, you don't end up having any of the symptoms, but just in case you do. When fitness and nutrition is very important in everything that we do, not just for going through perimenopause or menopause. This is important for everything that we do. But it is even more important now that we're going through this phase, because our body undergoes a lot of hormonal and physical changes during this time. And we need to ensure that we're eating the right things and that we're also exercising. And you don't necessarily need to be doing strenuous exercise every single day if you can't manage it, but we need to be doing something every day. And this helps us to do a lot of things and to regulate a lot of things in our body. And I'm going to try and see if I can share a document that I did. Let me see if I can bring it up. I'm only seeing one of them, so let me see if I can bring up the other one and show you. Let's see if it will come up. All right. Let me know if you're seeing that on the screen, if it's big enough for you to see. Okay, great. So Sharon is coming in now, so we will have Sharon in a few minutes, in a second. All right, here we go. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, we made it.
Yes, fine. Thank you so, so much. I was just telling the ladies that you literally just hopped off your other session to hop into this one. And I'm so grateful that you could join us. We haven't gotten into any form of discussion yet. I just brought up this on screen, just as an intro to why fitness and nutrition is important during this phase. I'm not sure. Let me know if you can see Sharon, because as I
Yes.
said to you earlier, I had to switch gears since evening, so I'm not even familiar with the platform I'm using. So I'm winging it this
Oh,
evening.
honey, if we waited for perfection, we'd never get anything done. So congratulations. I wing it all the time.
Okay, great,
Lovely to
great,
be
great,
here.
great.
Thank you so much for having me. And hello to everyone who's joining us this evening and watching the recording. It's a joy to be here with Cecile.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. So, Sharon has been and is still, how many decades now, Sharon?
Don't age me, girl. I came back to Jamaica in 1995 as a certified yoga teacher and aromatherapist, and with a mission to change the world, I guess, change Jamaica through yoga and through aromatherapy. And I created Starfish Oils, which many of you might be familiar with, the brand, aromatherapy brand, which I sold 6 years later. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
And that is why I was so happy that you said yes to this, because I couldn't think of anybody else I would have invited now at this stage to talk about fitness and nutrition. And especially because I know that you have been through part of this phase already and some of the challenges that you had going through this. So you're the perfect person to speak on this from so many different angles, right? Um, I am, for the sake of time, I'm going to jump right into the questions. Ladies, if you have questions for myself or Sharon, you can drop them in the chat. I have Dawn online with me, Sharon. Dawn is a friend of mine who's helping me in the back end because we both had to, she's had to help me to figure it out since afternoon. So she's online trying to monitor the chat because I can't see anything on the other side right now.
Thank you.
So, um, we are, and it looks like she just dropped off. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have to wing it a different way, but
Wait,
figure it
growing new wings. All right.
out. Growing new wings, exactly.
Maybe you want
Right.
to take that image off, Cecile, so we can you do that?
Sure. Um,
There you go.
okay, there you go.
Good.
Right. So the first question I have for you, Sharon. Let me see if I find back my oops. Where did my thing just go? Okay, that's weird. As a fitness and wellness expert, what is the one question you get asked the most as it relates to this period of our lives, both in perimenopause and the menopause stage? What is that one question that you get asked the most?
How do you get those arm muscles? Get that a lot. So I'll tell you a little backstory. I'm now 58. I went into menopause at 50, and just honestly, up until 50 years old, I didn't think yoga people got menopause. I thought that was for other people, right? People who, I'm like, when I used to host my programs, so one of the things that I do is take people on transformative journeys with their health and their nutrition and their fitness, and take them on 7 to 21 day detox programs and really help them
And I
to
can attest to that program.
in there. It's called Shakti Activation, and we just help to get the body back into a state of balance and harmony, our hormones back into balance, which are so affected by the world that we're living in right now, and by what we're eating, what we're drinking, the air that we're breathing, the chemicals that we're putting on our bodies, the things that we're using to clean our households. Every single woman right now has so much stacked against us, right? And the more that our hormonal endocrine system is out of balance, the harder menopause is. So when I went into menopause at 50, completely unaware, I just like, it was I honestly thought I was pregnant, first of all. That's how dumb I was. And the truth is, I come from a lineage, and I think most of us do, where our mothers never spoke about this, right? They
True.
told us about our periods, but they didn't tell us what happens when they stop, right?
Mhm.
My mother certainly didn't. And she was going through a lot in those years as well, on top of everything. And so I experienced going from like going off to Bali for 3 weeks on my own. That was my birthday treat. I went to visit a friend living in Bali and had this incredible 3 week experience, quite adventurous, going on my own, leaving everyone in the April of my birthday. And then somewhere around November, December of that year, I started the sweats. I started the anxiety.
Mhm.
I'd never known in my life what anxiety was. And I didn't know what to do or how to control it. I remember just lying in bed and saying to my husband, "Can you just hold my heart? Can you just press on my heart, because I feel like it's gonna jump out of my
So,
ears?"
yeah.
Yeah. And the emotional roller coaster, like I thought I do have a thyroid issue. I have Hashimoto's disease. It's an autoimmune disease where just after my first pregnancy, it just totally shut down. And so I thought maybe my thyroid was totally out of balance. Then I got this very weird symptom of a burning mouth, like my mouth was on fire all the time. My whole body felt like it was on fire. My hair was falling out. I mean, it was like, what the hell is going on?
Going on with me.
Right. And I thought I was going cuckoo, and then I finally realized, oh my
I'm
God,
not going cuckoo.
I haven't gotten my period. Like I was just so clueless. And I wish I had the wisdom that I know now. And it's is definitely one of the things that I want to help to share with women, that by the time, I mean, women are going into menopause earlier and earlier and earlier now because our hormonal system is so unbalanced. And it doesn't mean that you are unbalanced. It means that the world that we're living in is so unbalanced. The air that we're breathing in is not the same air that our grandparents were breathing in.
No, it's not.
The food that we're eating is definitely not the same food that our grandmothers were eating.
Mm-mm.
The lifestyle we're leading, which is so much more sedentary, is definitely not the life that our grandparents were living. And the things that we're putting on our bodies. So the average woman puts 512 different chemicals on her body before she leaves the house in the morning. The average woman. This is why
Wow.
through my program, I'm like, nothing, no makeup, no nail polish, no perfumes, no nothing. Coconut oil. That's why I created that coconut oil product. Like that can do everything. So these chemicals, I mean, we're just talking about things like, like it is changing now where we can find lipstick that is non-toxic. We have to think about, is our nail polish toxic? Is the hair dye that we're using toxic? Is a perfume that we're putting on toxic? The deodorant, we've known this for a long time.
True.
So are the things, not only the food, I mean, it's obvious the food that we're eating is so full of chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers, dyes, flavorings, MSGs, all of these things. But a lot of what we are not aware of is the chemicals that we use to clean our homes. This is a huge factor of our hormones going out of balance. So all of these things, pollution, what's in our drinking water, what's in our food, what's in what we're putting onto our body, which is just as important as what we put into our bodies. These are called endocrine inhibitors. And basically what they do is just fry your hormonal system. That is why so many women are starting to feel these hormonal changes earlier than our parents
Than before.
were. Yeah. It's an epidemic, really. And so I wish I had this wisdom, because what I was doing at that point was pushing through instead of leaning back and just sort of taking better care of myself, because I was so uneducated. And I haven't even mentioned the fatigue. Like,
Oh, don't talk about that one.
right? The insomnia.
Is
Why does it have to be all these things at once, right? But if we had a little warning, if we had a little guidance, if we had a little education, so
and
one
more open conversations as well.
open conversation like you have, that's why I said a full body yes to coming on tonight, even though I'm like, oh my God, I've just been nonstop teaching this weekend. It's interesting. the online weekend retreat I just held was called Back to Balance.
Wow.
Help
Look at
women just get back to balance physically, mentally, spiritually. And for the 3 days, no sugar, no alcohol, no wheat, no dairy, all these things that are toxic triggers to our system. And, just what you can achieve in 3 days of just resting back. So, just to conclude this part of it is that instead of resting back and saying, okay, this is happening, this is part of the human existence, and this is part of a woman's transition, because there's wonderful things that come with menopause. I hope we have time to get to that.
that.
Not all the crap,
And
but
all the crap that comes before.
yeah, but there's so much. So, um, uh, leaning back into it and saying, okay, this is happening,
Mhm.
giving yourself permission to rest more, to feel all the feelings instead of dumbing them down or numbing them out with alcohol or ganja or whatever we do, or sex or food, to really just feel all the feelings and to go through it with grace. And
Mhm.
in some way, it's just a beautiful, in all ways, looking back, even though I wish I had the wisdom I have now.
Right.
It is such a wonderful next level of your life.
Next level.
Yeah.
I, you
Gotta go
know,
with the fire.
you mentioned about the fatigue. You spoke about the panic attacks and stuff like that, and those are things that we discussed in the last two lives that we had, and it is also one of the reasons why I started the live, because I started having panic attacks and ended up at cardiologists, the GPs, the different. I ran a whole slew of tests for months on end, and everything came back negative. And I'm here saying that, okay, so I'm just going crazy then, because this hasn't happened before. There were little things happening before, and it's just now that I'm putting the energy into learning and talking about it more, that I'm saying, okay, so this was happening from before. I just didn't pick up on it that this was what it is until those other things started to happen. And then I realized that, okay, so I'm in perimenopause. Okay, fine. So somebody should have told me all of this. But
Yeah.
yeah. And then there are other ladies on the live who have been on the other lives who have had similar issues. And I'm not sure she's on tonight, but there was one young lady who was on, I think it was the last time, and she was like, she basically thought she was going crazy
So did
because
I.
the doctors couldn't tell her what was wrong with her, and so she just thought she was going crazy,
I
right? Uh,
100%. So did I. And
yeah,
this is the sad part, is that, you know, we're not educated. Even the doctors are not educated. And
they're
so we
not.
as women have that responsibility to help other women go through this and navigate it the way that our ancestors would have in the
Yeah,
wisdom years. Yeah. In
exactly.
tradition.
Um, and then this leads me right into the other question, which is, are there things that you had, because you made mention that you wish you had leaned back into it more instead of, just pushing through, pushing through, pushing through. But are there any dietary and fitness changes that you had to make while going through this that you realized helped you along the way?
Yeah. So my first word of advice would be go to your gynecologist,
Mhm.
particularly one or a gynecologist that is more on the functional medicine side versus just old school, you know,
Mhm.
and get your hormones tested,
Right. My
right?
girlfriend, I think she's online. My bestie who's online, Denise, she's the one who told me to go and get that done, and I did it. Mind you, my hormones came back quite fine, along with everything else. So I realized I'm not in menopause yet, but I'm in perimenopause, and as research says, that's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
Before you get into menopause, the peri part of it,
Yes, because that's when all these weird things start
things
happening.
happen.
You
Right.
have no context to put them in. So the first thing that I would do is have your hormone levels checked and start to monitor that every single year. So I have a gynecologist. I go religiously every year. I test where am I with my estrogen, my progesterone, and my testosterone.
Okay.
And I, you have to talk about this with your doctors, but I personally went on bioidentical hormones.
What's that?
Bioidentical hormones. So
Okay.
I take every single day a tiny dose of estrogen, a tiny dose of testosterone, and a tiny dose of progesterone.
Mm.
Estrogen is so vital for women, right? And this, all the latest science backs up. So HRT, hormone replacement therapy, was a thing. My mother went through it, but they were using synthetic hormones that were sometimes causing
Cancer.
breast cancer.
Cancer. Right.
All the new science, first of all, this study that came out saying that hormone replacement therapy causes breast cancer was a very misinformed and not a very well done study, according to the functional medical doctors now. That
Mm-hmm.
this is what they do with their whole life, is studying studies. And most functional medical doctors will say to a woman in her menopausal years, not perimenopause, but
Mm.
once your estrogen drops and all of the three drop, to supplement them to a level where they're still able to kind of do the job. If you think about it, we go from having this hormone, estrogen, that keeps our skin healthy, that keeps our vagina lubricated, that cools us down, that grows our hair, that, I mean, estrogen, it's your mood, it's everything.
Okay.
Progesterone helps you with your strength, your physical strength. It helps you with your sleep, which is something that just went crazy for me when I went into perimenopause and then full menopause. So having proper levels of progesterone, just very low levels, just to maintain some sort of normalcy in your body. And this really helps you with aging and how you go into what we call the wisdom years.
Right.
So the question was, has my diet changed? So 100%. The biggest change that I had to make was to start doing more strength training,
Mm-hmm.
because for every year over the age of 40, a woman who does not do strength training loses 3 pounds of muscle and gains 1 pound of fat.
I think that's 10 pounds of fat, but okay.
Okay, but if you add that decade, so between 40 and 50, you could have gained 10 pounds at least, just naturally, because you haven't done resistance training. Our body,
Training.
what happens is, without resistance training, our muscles deteriorate or
Mm-hmm.
they lose their density. Our muscles contain mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells. So the less muscle mass that we have, the less powerhouse we have in our bodies, the less energy, the less vitality. Make sense? So by building and maintaining strong muscle as you age, you are increasing the volume of mitochondria in your body, and you are able to have more energy and vitality and strength to go through the menopause. So the one thing that changed for me is, obviously, as you've said, Cecile, I'm a yoga teacher. Yoga is my way of life, but that's not enough. I did a
Mm.
lot of cardio. I used to do triathlons in my 30s and 40s, 30s, really more in my 30s. You know, lots of cardio. that does not help you with balancing your hormones. You want to get your hormones back in balance, you've got to build muscle, and you've got to keep that as much mitochondria as you can in your body. So that was the biggest thing for me in terms of fitness is strength training. I didn't, by the way, lift a weight in my life until I was 40 years old and 3 months pregnant with my son. So it's never too late, but now it is such a part of my life. And I think it's been the thing that has helped me to feel, I honestly feel like I'm in my 20s and I'll be 60s in a couple of years. I feel so youthful and so strong, and I'm stronger than most 20-year-olds that I know. So it's very important to get started on that right away if you're
Way.
not already doing that. And the second thing that has become so important for me and for all menopausal women is having becoming more protein forward in your eating.
Okay.
This may be sound alarming, but I've been prior to understanding the whole mechanics of aging and longevity. I was really preaching. I've written a cookbook that is all about plant-based. You know the cookbook very well. It's and I am a
It's
huge.
still an incredible cookbook.
It is an
It's
incredible cookbook, and being plant-based is so important. But the combination of plant-based and protein
proteins.
is the key. And this may sound like a lot, but we as women should be consuming 20 grams of protein per meal.
Okay.
So if you were talking to me 4 years ago, my breakfast would be granola cereal, lots of carbs, and that wasn't getting me anywhere. Now, if you want to know what I had for breakfast, it was a can of sardines with a piece of bami and a fried egg fried in avocado oil on top, protein forward. So those are the two things that have radically changed for me.
Okay. And
Dion, just to jump in here, I have a question online from Dennis that says, "Is
Denise,
the Denise?
yes, Deneys.
Sorry about that, Denise. That says, is a combination of the small doses of hormone Sharon available in Jamaica?"
Honestly, my guy, I couldn't in when I so when I started this 8 years ago, I couldn't find a functional medical doctor here. I am pretty sure that there are younger gynecologists that are there, and I can do some research for you. This is the second time this question has come up in a week, so I need to find out for you, and I'll share with Cecile. Um, so are these bioidentical hormones available in Jamaica? The truth is, I don't know because I get mine in the States,
Okay.
but I am pretty sure they are because so many, it's such a universal thing now.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do some research on that and get back to Denise and everybody else. So, um, along the chat line, I know I can put comments once I post this to YouTube. I can still drop things in the comments, so I'll put it there as well as on my other social media platforms to inform persons about what they can do and how they can get to this kind of treatment. Because the honest truth is, when you get to this stage and you're going through so much and you don't know what you're going through until you know what you're going through, when you've spent so many years basically just, I'm not going to say wasting away, but that's how I feel most days. No, because when the fatigue sets in, it's like you can't do anything. You and then worse, no, in Jamaica, in this heat, it's like you're fighting two battles. I'm
It's
sitting down and water is just running down my skin, and I'm like, okay, so I can't go on the road today. I can't go anywhere looking like this, and it doesn't matter how much times I go into the shower and come back out. It's the same thing. And my hormones are still normal. So you can imagine when they get to the point where they're not normal.
there's a fantastic book that I encourage every woman to have, and I encourage everyone to have this from the minute that they can read. It's called The Wisdom of Menopause by Dr. Christiana Northrup, Northrup.
Wisdom of menopause.
Wisdom of Menopause. It's a Bible, it's like this big, and it tells you everything you need to know about perimenopause, about menopause and postmenopause, nutrition, supplements, fitness,
Okay.
meditation, and the whole science behind what's really happening in your body. And she's
Right.
also a big advocate of bioidentical hormones.
Okay, great. I'll look out for it, and I'm sure the other ladies here will look out for it as well. You mentioned something earlier about once you get to 40, you start losing muscle mass and start gaining fat. Um, and I have experienced that, especially in the belly region, where you have your fupa and your love handles. Right.
Mhm.
So I know I'm not the only one here having that struggle. So, what are some of the things that you would recommend in terms of exercises that would help that particular challenge?
So, first of all, I would say be gentle with yourself. Second of all, I'd say love your body into where you want it to go and not beat upon yourself and hate yourself and punish yourself by going to the gym and working your ass off and you're not seeing any changes.
Changes.
You've got to do the combination of the diet, when I hate that word diet, the nutrition, right? With the exercise. Now, I 100% will tell you that if you start strength, you can't spot change your belly. So the belly fat and all of that is the inflammation in your body that has been caused by your hormones being out of whack. So the first thing that I would do is a detox. The
Right.
first thing that I would do is give yourself permission, form a group, because it isn't almost humanly impossible to stick to a program like that, as you know, Cecile, without community. So I would say the first thing is get your hormones back into balance, not just the sexual hormones, estrogen, progesterone, blah, 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 but all the hormones that work with your digestive system as well. So that would mean coming off of the main toxic triggers. I call them the bad boys. The sugar, which is the worst, the sugar, the wheat, and the gluten, the dairy, the alcohol, which is so, I mean, I love my wine, but it is such a killer with this transition period. You will find that when you drink alcohol, your head, you get such a bad headache. Or definitely that was one of my symptoms. And any processed food, and give yourself at least 21 days. Takes 3 days to let go of the toxins in your body, 7 days to really start to renew and feel the difference, but it's 21 days to really a whole new you. So maybe that could be a challenge everybody could take up with you, Cecile. Pick
Right.
21 days, no sugar, no alcohol, no wheat, no dairy, no processed foods, and just give yourself, your hormonal system, a chance to reset. Then, while you are doing that, you may sound like a lot, but you can live your whole life without sugar, alcohol, wheat, or dairy, right? There's nothing that's going to happen to you without those things, only good things. Um, you begin strength training a minimum of 2 days, ideally 3 days a week.
Okay.
And that means resisting, using weights to resist, whether you go to a gym and use equipment or use free weights. Or if you turn the screen, this is my little personal gym, and I work out by myself and I use my weights 3 days a week. So scheduling, making your workout time, I call it my hour of power, making that your priority in your life will change
Right.
your life. And slowly, once you stabilize and bring your hormones back into balance and your digestive system is working properly, because that's the one that gets, you get so anxious during perimenopause that your cortisol
Right.
levels go up. High cortisol levels, your fight and flight response, because you don't know what the hell's going on,
Mhm.
is what causes you to hold on to belly fat. So
Mm.
let go. And I think the next key ingredient in all of this, we can talk about the fitness and we can talk about the diet till the cows come home. But unless we're working this and calming this down, none of that is going to make any difference. So, incorporating meditation, quiet time, time in Mother Nature, to let go, come out of the mind, the thinking center, which drives you crazy because it either wants to take you into the future where there's fear and worry, that's the anxiety,
Right.
or it wants to keep you in the past where there's shame and blame and you can't change anything anyway. When you meditate, you come into the state of present moment
Presence.
consciousness. You settle down this horrible mind chatter and you just allow yourself to drop into the quietness of your heart. And even 5 minutes a day can be so
Right.
transformational for your anxiety, for everything, for your hormone balance. And then everything kind of starts to fall into.
Flow from there. You just led right into my next question. It's like you're reading my mind, because the next question I had for you: how can some of the stress management techniques, such as meditation, yoga, mindfulness, help with this process, with this stage? And you just answered part of it. The whole idea of doing meditation, which I never started meditation until I did your program. Actually, that was the very first time I was doing meditation, and I remember the first morning I was like, I'm supposed to sit down so long, quiet, and do nothing and don't move. How does one do that? And by the end of the program, because I was on a 3-month program with you,
Yes.
I found that one of the things I really loved about that program is that when you, once we were done with meditation in the mornings, we would write, we would journal.
Yes.
And I found that coming out of that state of being quiet and just being in a space, and it's the first thing we did before we did anything else in the mornings, I could write more. And I've slacked off on that and I need to get back on it because I realized how much that helped me then. And I think it would even help me better now, going through this anxiety state and the panic attacks and the different changes based on the hormone. So I need to get back to doing that because I know it helped then and I'm sure it will help me now. So I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes we start doing stuff and then we stop. Um,
And
and
it's so good for you. Like, like this weekend, the feedback from these women were like, there are quite a few of them have done yoga in the past, and then it just like they just stop. Like I don't know what, it's human nature. We know what's good for us, but we just sometimes it's almost like we don't
we put
feel
ourselves on the back burner.
we don't deserve it, right? So, my friends, one of the greatest things I can tell you about menopause, it teaches that if you don't put yourself first, if you don't put the oxygen on you first, you can't take care of nobody because you're so burnt out, you're so exhausted, you're so anxious. So, it is a wonderful time to reprogram yourself. And the earlier you start this, the better. I'm speaking from wisdom of looking back now, like how freaking crazy I was at that time. Like, what, what on earth did I think I could do all the things that I was doing, plus 3 children? And I had my children very late in life. I had my last child at 43. So I'm going through menopause while they're in prep school. Okay. whoa, it was bad, right? So the earlier you can adopt quieting your mind, learn meditation practice, yoga practice. It's called a practice. Why? You got to
You have to
practice.
you have
It's
to do it all
something
the
that
time.
come natural, right? Eventually it does. Now, meditation for me is non-negotiable. Sunday to Sunday, every day of the year. It is the thing that keeps me sane. So I would invite you to look at your life, reevaluate your priorities, put yourself first. And that is why when I teach my courses, I really talk about this hour of power. And for me, if it doesn't happen in the morning, it probably won't happen. So it probably means in your life, a lot of you are in the stage where you have young children and you have your career and you have all the things going on. It might mean waking up an hour early when the world is quiet to do your meditation, to do your movement, to start the day with mindful eating and use that template going forward to really help you to navigate this wonderful transition time in your life and not to beat it up and negate it. I mean, it's horrible,
It's
right?
hard, but
Okay, hard, but how can we change the narrative,
exactly.
support each other? Because the more community you have around you going through this, be open with what's happening. I was so ashamed of myself. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a wellness warrior health coach, and I was dying, but I couldn't even really share it. And now I wish I had been brave enough to share what I was going through because, now I, I could have had so much more support.
Yeah.
Sharon, this is a personal question from me. Earlier,
Yes.
you spoke about the upsides. Could you share with us, some of the things that you consider upsides of this? Because I'm really not seeing any right now.
First of all,
Um,
you don't have to deal with periods anymore. All right. That's really wonderful. The upsides, the upsides is really the wisdom. The
But
wisdom.
sometimes with the upside of not having the periods, we have the horror of, am I pregnant?
I know. I'm like, you're freaking 50 years old. How can you be pregnant? But I went and got a pregnancy test like so many times because I was like, that was so crazy. Like, I must be pregnant, that like, so the upsides, my friend, is that you get a chance to do over. Okay.
mm,
It is very important to keep yourself in shape and not lose it. It is not necessary for a woman to lose her sexy body because she's gone through menopause. This is a time to I feel the sexiest of my life right now, right? But I've worked really hard at changing my diet and change and starting a meditation practice. And I've really worked hard on this personally. And I feel the most attractive and the most sexy and the most vibrant that I have felt in all of my life at 58. And
wow.
and if you change the narrative of, well, I'm in menopause and that's the end of it, I'm just going to that's the end of my life. I'm losing my memory. We can talk
Okay,
about
don't worry.
the
There
brain
is.
fog, memory. Oh my God, I'm losing it all. And, I'm not going to be attractive anymore. Nobody's going to love me. And, I am fully in love with my husband. And at the same time, I just feel so alive. And because I've accepted this stage in my life, I've even hired a coach to help me navigate these 2 years before I turn 60, because I'm just like, I want to celebrate turning 60, right? I want to celebrate my life and celebrate my achievements, but there's work that has to be put in. And if you don't grab a hold of it now, right, and take hold of yourself, and put yourself in place, you first, get your head straight, learn to meditate, to pray, whatever it is that keeps you connected to the divine. Be in Mother Nature. She's your greatest ally. Get your strength training down, and it hurts like hell in the beginning. And then eventually you just can't live without it because it feels so good. And find a yoga practice, find some kind of movement where you are working with your breath and you're coming out of the head and into your body. So can I put a little plug here?
I know exactly. I think I know where you're going because I was
Where?
going to ask you to do it.
Where? What was that?
to
What
do
is,
breathing, to do the breath work.
no, I'm going to put a plug in. Yes, the breath work is so important. And you learned the 5 breathing exercises with me, and they're also key. But I have a membership program that I created. I used to own a yoga and fitness center here in Kingston for 14 years. Some of you may have heard of it. It was called Shakti Mind Body Fitness. And so in COVID, I created a platform called Shakti at Home, an online yoga, fitness, and spiritual community for women. And you can join this community. It's women from all over the world. And when you sign up, it's $15 a month. All right, that is the cost of a Starbucks coffee right now. 15 US dollars a month, and you get access to a vault of yoga classes, meditation practices, fitness and strength training. Back in the days when Trudy Booty was
Trudy
you.
booty, right?
So I have all of Trudy's videos for strength training. If you want to start at home, buy a light, and I like, start slow when you go weight training, okay? Especially if you're doing it on your own, light weights, and you will see yourself starting to build up. So it's a beautiful community and a really affordable. I made it affordable because I wanted my Jamaican people to have affordable healthcare, because you're not going to get this healthcare out there, right? This healthcare is, you have to motivate
You
yourself.
have to start it. Yeah.
But the quality of what you're going to get on Shakti at Home, you can't get this anywhere in this country. And I really encourage you. Cecile could put the link to that. $15 a month for the membership. And yeah, what other questions do you have? Or can I help you with anything else?
I think you answered all the ones I had. I'm not sure what if any of the ladies have any questions. Don, anybody else has any questions? Any comments? I'm sorry that I'm not able to see stuff. It feels like I'm disjointed from everybody.
It's okay. I understand that feeling. My the platform I use is Crowdcast, and you don't get to see and interact, but
Right.
eventually you learn to feel. So I just wanted to close then with a little meditation, if that would be good for you, for everyone.
Sure. Thank you.
Very quickly, to just show you how easy it is to just get into that place of stillness where everything is in divine order. And I just wanted to say before we end that if you want to connect with me, you can really find me on Instagram at Sharon Feanny, and that's Feanny. I also teach in-person yoga classes right here in this little space in Jacks Hill every Wednesday evening and most Sundays. That's also in Instagram in the bio. I do yoga and meditation retreats. My next one is coming up in Treasure Beach in October, and I have 2 spots left if anybody would like. It's such a great way to just kickstart your health and wellness journey. And Most importantly, I give a free yoga class every single Tuesday since COVID. Every Tuesday now, up until this last 3 years, it's been Tuesday at 9 a.m. But I am going in a coaching program where it's at the same time. So starting October 10th, it'll be Tuesday evenings from 5 to 6 p.m. This is a free yoga practice so that people, yoga can have this elite thing that I want to demystify. And I just want to make an open door to anybody that wants to learn about this beautiful science of health and happiness. That's what yoga is. It's not a religion. It's not people doing weird postures. It's a science of health and happiness that really can support you on this journey through menopause. So,
So,
to end, find a comfortable seat. Just sit up tall. If you're sitting in a chair, and just put your feet flat on the chair, bring your back up against the chair. If you're on the ground, you can have your legs extended or cross-legged seat. What's important for meditation is that you just have a nice, strong, erect spine. Bring your hands together and just rub them vigorously. Close your eyes. Your hands are connected to your heart. So right away, you're making a hand to heart connection. You're waking up the heart center, which helps you to come out of the mind, the thinking center. So speed up your hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just place your warm hands on your heart. As you place your warm hands on your heart, relax everything else. Soften your face, shoulders, your tummy, your hips, your thighs, your feet. Just let everything relax. Just let go. We're going to do an exercise called the box breath, where we count our breath. Breathing in for 4 counts, holding the breath for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, and holding the breath out for 4 counts. I will guide you on the first 2, and then we'll do 1 round together on our own with full awareness. So with your eyes closed and your body relaxed, we're going to be breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. So let's begin. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling slowly for 1, 2, 3, 4. And staying empty, holding the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in again for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. And holding the breath out for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll guide you on the last one. So one more time, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a very big breath in and a long breath out. And just rest here in the stillness and silence of your heart. Observing the rise and the fall of your chest as you breathe. Just enter now. We use that breath to come out of our mind, our thinking center, and enter our heart, our feeling center, just feeling all the sensations of deep breathing. For the next 30 seconds, can you just allow yourself now to drop into your being center, just being and breathing, being and breathing. Being and breathing. One more big breath in. As you exhale, drop chin to chest, head to heart. And inhale, let your head rise, and when you're ready, just flutter the eyes open and just notice how you feel. How do you feel, Cecile?
Quite calm, thank you very much. As it always does.
16 seconds to calm. So the next time you feel that anxiety rising, that rage, the nights, the sweats, 16 seconds. Breathe in for 4, hold the breath for 4, breathe out for 4, hold the breath out for 4. 16 seconds to count.
Sharon, thank you so much for that. That was pretty calming. Um, just before you go, though, I'm seeing a question from Annette that says, why should we stay away from wheat? I mean, we don't want to hold you much, much longer, but if you could just respond to that.
And that's such a good question because wheat, as our ancestors knew it, is not the wheat that we are eating today in
No,
the foods
right.
that are available. So the 3 most genetically modified foods on earth at the moment are wheat, dairy, and soy. Sorry, wheat, soy, and corn. Wheat, soy, and corn. Bless the corn, but it's not what the corn of our ancestors were eating. There is something there, but wheat has been the one that they've modified the most. So the genetics of the wheat that we are eating now, science is finding out that whatever it is, I'm not a scientist, but there is something in the wheat, and particularly the wheat that we get in third world countries is the cheapest form. They genetically modified wheat so that they could grow more and feed more people, right? Make more money. There's something in that wheat that is causing a dysbiosis in your gut, in the lining of your gut. There's something in the wheat that is in our bread, that is in our pastas, that is in our crackers, that are in our chips and all the things that it's also quite addicting, this thing. And what it is doing is going into our gut microbiome and changing it and actually causing micro tears in the gut lining, causing something called leaky gut syndrome, which
Mm.
leads to a host of symptoms that so many of us women are suffering without realizing: indigestion, bloating, weight gain, extreme fatigue, skin conditions, joint pain. Um, we're finding that a lot of this is coming from the wheat. And our Jamaican diet is very focused on, we eat a lot of rice. Rice is not wheat, but it contains a lot of gluten. So, you know, we have to move away from those processed foods, like bread is processed, and move towards bread fruit. We got to move away from the starches and move towards our yard food, our things that grow in the ground, the yam, the cocoa, the green banana, the plant. These are the complex carbohydrates that our bodies can absorb and are so good for us in moderation, because again,
Yep.
carbohydrates are to sugar. But this whole thing about no carbs, God gave us carbs, but not the breads, the pastas, and the refined carbohydrates. They are not working for us anymore. Hope that helped.
Thank you for that, Sharon, and thank you for that question. Annette, you said right, Dawn?
Yes, that was Annette's question.
Okay, thanks for that question and thanks so much for answering, Sharon. Sharon, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on this evening. You have filled us with so much information and so many things that we need to now go and revisit in our own personal space to see what are the things that we can limit and what are the things that we can improve on. Um, I know personally you just explained the thing about wheat, but I have not been able to tolerate a lot of wheat based products for years. And whenever I have them in too much when I have too much of it, then I have the issues with my gut. So I quite understand that. And so I stay away from them as much as possible. I hardly even cook rice at home anymore. But I've never really been one who likes rice. I like my sweet potatoes, my yam, my banana, my breadfruit, bami, that kind of stuff. Um, so I won't necessarily have rice all the time unless I'm out and I don't have a choice. Then I'll have rice. I mean, I love a good rice and peas that is cooked
Of
on a
course,
wood fire and stuff like that.
of
But
course.
I try to stay away from those things as much as possible. But you left us with so much information, though. And one of the things that I am taking away from it is that we need to give ourselves grace while going through this. We tend, whenever we are going through stuff, we tend to be so harsh on ourselves. We bring up everything from our past and we worry about everything that's coming in the future, and we don't tend to just stop and give ourselves grace while we're going through the things that we're going through. And I think if we did that more often, a lot of the challenges that we face and a lot of the symptoms that we have from perimenopause and menopause would be a little bit lighter, because we would be in a state of mind where we can appreciate us ourselves and approach things in a different manner. I like the create. Let me see if I wrote it down. Create an hour of power, and I need to probably stick that on my board in my room there so that I remember that I need to be doing this. It is important that we put ourselves first. And as women, we tend not to do that. That is one of our greatest issues. We don't put ourselves first. We take care of the homes, the children, the jobs, the everything else. And we're last on the list of things to do. And we need to start working on that hour of power so that we can get back our power to be able to help others within our circle. And one of the reasons why I started this is because I want to be able to create a community where women feel comfortable to come and ask questions, to have the discussion so that they can pass on the information to the younger generation so that they don't have to go through the same things that we're going through. Because as you rightly said in your earlier conversations, our parents never had these conversations with us. Our mothers never had these conversations with us. Frankly, even when I started my period, I remember when I started my period, Gilbert. Um, I knew what it was because I was going to what they call those classes at school again. Whatever those
Guidance.
guidance class, and I just went. I knew where she kept her sanitary napkins. I took out one, put it in, and then I just went and said, "Oh, mommy, my period is here." And she was like, "Okay." And she had one or two conversations, and then that was it. And I'm like, we're in an age now where we need to be guiding our children or guiding the persons who we are responsible for, so that this information is not considered taboo, because a lot of these conversations back in the day were considered taboo, and
I'm
hence
really proud of you, Cecile, for opening
why.
this up and this community and sharing things so vulnerably and authentically. And the more that we do that, the more we learn from each other. And the more
Exactly.
men that get together and support each other in community is the key to navigating this life, because we have
Mhm.
shied away. We have been in such a masculine world thinking that we can do this on our own, and we've lost our femininity and we want to kind of put that aside. But it's now we are moving into the age of Aquarius. The whole world is shifting and the divine feminine is coming forward. So my advice to you is embrace your femininity, embrace this change, ride the waves with each other, and most of all, remember to start taking care of you first.
Yes.
So I
Thank
have
you
to
so
leave
much.
you all,
Thank
but
you so much, Sharon. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me.
Ladies, If you don't have any more questions, you can always put, I'm going to upload this to YouTube, so you can always go back on and rewatch it, share it with your friends. And if you have questions for us, you can still drop them in the comments. I'll respond to them as soon as I see them, or as soon as I have an answer to whatever you've asked, if I don't have it right away. But I want to thank you. I know it's your Sunday evening, and I really appreciate everyone who has taken the time to come on and join us. And special thanks to Sharon, who made the time hopping off her program to come onto my program to be able to share this information with you. And I'm really, really, really appreciative of it. And I'm hoping that you have, every single person here has taken away at least one little thing from this conversation to help to guide you through this next phase of your life. All right. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Sharon. And
You
see
got
you
it,
next
Cecile.
month,
Yes.
November 5th, the first Sunday of every month at the same time, same place.
Fabulous.
So, right. One last thing. The last time I threw it out, um, what what the next session should be, and that is how I ended up with this. Yes, this was on my list, but it was further down, but I moved it up because it was requested. I'm not sure if there's a request this time for November 5th, but if you do, you can always drop it in the chat or send me a message with what you think the next topic should be, and we'll see how we can fit it into the schedule. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful Sunday evening and enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe and take care of you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me, and it's been a joy and pleasure.
Okay. Thanks, Sharon. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. Dawn, I don't know if there was any other comment or question in the chat before.
Comments are here thanking Sharon, thanking
Okay.
Deon and Sharon for the session. From Marsha, Alrika says thank you. Janet says thanks so much, very informative.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Right.
Have a
So
wonderful evening. Thank you so much, Dawn, for being my sidekick and my, what do you call it? My henchman. I mean, I think a
tech
henchman.
support, tech support.
Support.
You're welcome, dear heart. Take care.
All right. Have a good evening, ladies. Bye.